The 2025 Formula One Championship was supposed to be the year of balance, the last before the major regulatory overhaul in 2026, the final season under rules that all teams now know by heart. Traditionally, in these moments, the gaps narrow, philosophies align, projects are refined, and the championship comes alive in a compact, unpredictable battle. But this time, that has not happened. After the Spanish Grand Prix, the standings tell a different story. At the top, alone and shining, stands McLaren. 362 points, a clear and flawless supremacy. A team that has found its center technical coherence, internal harmony, two drivers in a state of grace, and a car that seems to fit every track like a tailor-made glove. It is a world built on order, balance, clarity, a white world. Then there's the rest. Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, Aston Martin, a parallel universe where the same rules generate chaos, instability, confusion. It is a grid where updates chase each other and crises multiply. Each team fights its own battle, internal, technical, identity-driven, but none find a clear direction. It's a world in disarray, a black world. The contrast isn't just in the results, it is in how the teams operate. McLaren is a single body breathing in unison. Every decision, every development, every strategy seems part of a greater design. The others instead scramble after ever new problems, temporary solutions, a present slipping away. Red Bull is wearing itself down under internal friction and its reliance on Max Verstappen. Mercedes keeps reinventing itself without finding peace. Ferrari swings between false hopes and flashes of competitiveness. Meanwhile, Aston Martin, waiting for Adrian Newey, seems to have lost its course. Ferrari's second place, with 165 points, over 190 behind McLaren, perfectly represents the paradox of this season. There's no title fight, only an endless pursuit that changes from race to race, without ever truly shifting the overall balance. It is as if the championship is running on two parallel tracks destined never to meet. And in this disorder, the numbers betray the feelings. Ferrari fans look at that second place with a mix of surprise and bitterness. Being second like this, without ever giving the impression of being in the fight, leaves a bittersweet taste. It's not a rebirth, but a void filled by others' absence, a position that tells more about the struggles of others than a real step forward. Never more than this year has second place truly been the first of the losers. And so, in the year that should have marked convergence, Formula One delivers its opposite, a binary championship made of black and white. On one side, the perfection of those who found their path. On the other, the disorientation of those trying to survive amid uncertainty. Every weekend shuffles the deck, but the winner remains the same. It's a single-lane world championship. No battle, no narrative twists. The 2026 championship is just around the corner, but for now, in this 2025, Formula One is living through an abnormal moment like never before. A dominance that fails to excite and a chase that never materializes. A story suspended, frozen in two disconnected realities. Two directions, no meeting point, no gray area. That Sauber of Nico Hülkenberg, which overtook Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari on the straight of the Circuit de Catalunya Barcelona in Montmeló, a circuit that is generally considered a litmus test for car performance, as those who win here often win the Formula One title, sadly broke Ferrari fans' hearts just as much as it likely delighted former team principal Mattia Binotto. There could not have been a more telling image to portray the seven-time Formula One world champion's struggle to make his Ferrari competitive. But that is only one side of the coin. On the other is Charles Leclerc, the sole bright spot in Maranello's season, a driver who has never stopped giving it his all. He finished the Spanish Grand Prix in third place after starting seventh, cleared of any blame in a clash with Max Verstappen that he emerged from ahead, although only because of Red Bull's poor decision to pit the Dutchman during the safety car. They knew they only had one fresh set of hard tires left, considering the fact that he had used up the others in a very aggressive three-stop strategy that still kept him close to the McLaren cars and well ahead of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. At that point, it would have made more sense to leave him out on track. On the restart, the Red Bull driver would have been first, albeit on soft tires that were far more worn than his rivals. But it would have been up to them to pass him. It just goes to show, even the best pit walls make mistakes, not just those at Maranello. Ferrari leaves Barcelona still as the second-best team in the 2025 Formula One Championship, because McLaren's dominance has not faded one bit, and the new technical directive on flexible wings certainly did not hurt the British team, despite reassurances from Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur, who had repeatedly pointed to the Spanish Grand Prix weekend as the point where the performance gap between the two teams would narrow. Well, it didn't happen. In qualifying, the gap to McLaren was half a second, and it is hard to justify it just by saying that Charles Leclerc sacrificed qualifying in order to prioritize the race because the effect was barely visible, and in the race, there was never really a fight, as starting from 7th always makes things harder. McLaren's superiority was underlined by the 10.455-second gap that Oscar Piastri opened up on Charles Leclerc in the final 6 laps, despite both being on the same soft tire compound. So we are back to what was said after the Miami Grand Prix. Ferrari ended the 2024 Formula One campaign just 16 points behind McLaren and with nearly equal performance, whereas now, after 9 races, they have less than half McLaren's points. Something has not worked in year 3 of the Fred Vasseur era. Should he be given more time? Clearly yes, as changing now would be pointless. But in Maranello, it is time to acknowledge that the excuses are over, and it's not worth fueling illusions about the game-changing powers of the new rear suspension expected to be introduced by the Ferrari engineers and technicians at the Silverstone round. You can't keep kicking the can down the road and hoping something clicks. Red Bull is not smiling either. They have been racing with just one driver for over a year, and even for someone as exceptional as Max Verstappen, he can't do it all alone. This year, out of 144 points scored, only 7 have come from the second car. First Liam Lawson, now Yuki Tsunoda, while last season Sergio Perez, after a strong start, managed just 49 points from Imola to Abu Dhabi, that is 18 race. A fix is needed for the Austrian side, or Max Verstappen will be left to fight everyone on his own. And now there is also the looming threat of a race ban, as his collision with George Russell cost him 3 more penalty points. Just 1 more and he'll miss a Grand Prix. That would be a catastrophic blow. Finally, a special mention for Fernando Alonso. At 43, he ends his points drought and hasn't lost a shred of his fighting spirit. Chapeau. For now, Fred Vasseur has insisted that the Maranello team is far from abandoning the development its SF-25, despite the Italian outfit's subdued results since the start of its 2025 F1 campaign. While fans and pundits speculate about a possible early shift in focus toward the radical regulation changes of 2026, Fred Vasseur made clear that Ferrari still sees potential in this year's car and isn't backing off the gas pedal yet. The Frenchman's remarks come amid a modest resurgence in form, with Charles Leclerc securing consecutive podiums in Monaco and Spain, helping Ferrari reclaim second place in the Constructors' Championship. But while McLaren continues to pull ahead in pace and points, Fred Vasseur believes the right upgrades could turn things around. Ferrari is expected to introduce a new floor and rear suspension between the Canadian and British Grand Prix, with hopes of addressing the SF-25's finicky performance traits.